Welcome to the Equinety Podcast, where horse owners just like you share their incredible equinety stories and how equinety is changing their horses' lives. Whether you're searching for something to give your performance horse better focus, faster recovery, and more stamina, or in the extreme case where all hope seems lost, give your horse what it needs to help heal at a cellular level, you'll find it here. So jump in on today's episode to hear how Equinety is helping horses worldwide. Now, welcome your host, John Dowdy.
Hello and welcome to another Equinety podcast. We're going to swing up into Tennessee this week, and we're going to be speaking with Jackie Allen. And she's got actually four different things going on, four different horses, including in those four is a donkey and a mule. So, which I know is exciting because we haven't had anybody give us any feedback on a podcast with a donkey and a mule. So I'm excited about that. So without further ado, Jackie, welcome to the Equinety Podcast.
Oh, welcome to you too, and I'm so excited about being able to tell about this great product.
Oh, well, we're glad to have you on, and glad you could take some time out of your schedule. So I know you've been using the Equinety now for about a year, but prior to that, what are your general thoughts about horse supplements, just in general? And then, when you came across the Equinety, what was your thoughts on the Equinety? Were you skeptical or, just give us an overall view on that, your outlook on supplements in general?
Okay. Yes, I've used other supplements. Didn't see much results, and my daughter told me about the Equinety and how good it was, and I'm a little skeptical because she said, that it did so many things, so I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I tried it, and I love it.
So now, okay, well, so let's get into that. So obviously, hearing about it from your daughter gave you some feel good about that, which is always nice. So I know we've got four different horses here, and let's talk about the first one, which was a rescue, had a very bad coat. Tell us about that, even when you'd clip him and things. Tell us kind of what was going on there.
Yeah, I rescued Jasper, and he was pretty poor. His coat was absolutely horrible. It would come out in clumps, and he was a black horse, but you couldn't tell he was black. I start feeding him the Equinety, and the next time he shed it out, he is pitch black, shiny. I love looking at him in the pasture because he just shines. And he also had sidebone. He came up with sidebone. And I couldn't ride him anymore. And that was before I fed him the Equinety. And when I start feeding him the Equinety, about 6 months I noticed in the pasture he wasn't limping anymore. So I tried riding him, and he hasn't taken a bad step since.
Holy smokes!
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and you were even advised not to ride him, or he couldn't be ridden anymore because of the side bone.
Right.
Yeah. So after
well, they said I could have injected him and stuff, but I wasn't going to do that.
Sure. So you just thought, well, we'll give him the Equinety and see what happens. Was that kind of how you went in? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because I didn't want to not ride him. He was a great ride. He took very good care of me, and he's my heart horse. So yeah, I wanted to check it out and see. And in fact, I just rode him the other day, and he doesn't take a bad step.
That's great. Now, what are some of the other things you've noticed since he's been on the Equinety?
He's really quiet. He just looks good. I think he feels good. He acts like he feels good.
Mm-hmm. Changing coat, hooves, things like that?
Yeah. The farrier said that my horse's hooves look better than almost anybody's ever done.
Wow.
So that's an exciting thing.
Yeah.
Because I worry about their feet.
No doubt. Well, that's pretty awesome, and I think this is the first feedback we've had on podcast with Sidebone. So I'm sure that can help a lot of people out, or at least give them some hope for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So our next horse, which is 22 and now retired, and you used to use for a lot of trail competition. Tell us about him.
Yeah, his name is Rocky, and Rocky's, like you said, 22. And when people come over and I tell them how old they don't believe it. I mean, his coat is wonderful. His feet are great. He absolutely does not look 22.
And you're not riding him at all anymore. He just.
No. Every once in a while, I'll jump on him bareback. But he's done such a good job for me. I told him he can live the rest of his life eating grass.
Which I'm sure he's happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna go to your little donkey there. Tell us about him.
Yeah, Patches. I rescued Patches too, and he was in horrible condition. His poor little hooves were. I don't even know how he was walking. And with the help of my farrier, and it has to be the Equinety. He looks like he has little feet now. It's so funny because before they were all curled under, and they were terrible. But he's walking really good now, and like I said, he's got really cute little feet.
How big is Patches?
Patches is probably 12 hands, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yep. That's great. And now we're going to go to your main ride, which is your mule.
Yeah, Huckleberry.
All right. Tell us about Huckleberry.
Yep. Well, Huckleberry, mules, I don't know if you know this, but mules don't shed out like a horse. It takes a really long time for them to shed out. Mm-hmm. Probably by June or July, then they'll shed it out good. And I've been feeding him the Equinety too, and he shed it out so early this year, and he's really nice and shiny. And
feet and everything's good?
Yeah, his feet look great, and his attitude is great. Sometimes he can be a little.
To be a mule, yeah.
Well, he's only 4, so he's young yet.
Yeah.
But he's getting along good, and everybody asks me, how did you get him to shed out, and how come he looks so shiny, and I tell them the Equinety.
Right.
Because all he gets is oats, so it has to be, the Equinety.
Sure. Well, if that's the major or only change, you've made in the year with all of them, and they all seem to have, as we were discussing earlier, their overall look, mood, they're happy. You were even telling me how they a bit on the mischievous side.
Oh, yes, they are. Mm-hmm. They can get into some mischief.
Yeah.
Like they open the gate and let themselves out. Sometimes if I don't lock it, they're pretty mischievous.
Yeah, feeling good.
Uh-huh.
Well, for those who are listening in for the first time and wondering what this Equinety stuff is, I'll take just a couple minutes here and kind of give them an overview, just so they can understand. And, if this is the first time you are hearing about it, and it's like, well, how can this one product do so many different things? And in this case, we're talking about, one that had been battling with Sidebone. We've got another retired horse. We've got a donkey and a mule. And by the way, they're all getting the same dose, which is one little scoop, 5.2 grams, which is not even a tablespoon. But the unique thing with the Equinety, it's 100% pure amino acids. There's no fillers, no sugars, no starches, and there's no loading dose. The amino acids are specifically formulated to stimulate the pituitary gland, which is the master gland on the body. And that pituitary gland releases hormones. And of course, we're after growth hormone, which is the master hormone. And the growth hormone triggers IGF-1. And the combination of those hormones are what go throughout the body to help repair and regenerate at a cellular level. So it's customizing to each horse. And there's been a few other podcasts we've had where one in particular, gentleman had 7 different horses, or 7 horses with 7 different issues. There was another one with 5 different issues going on with 5 different horses. In this case, we've got 4, but it includes a donkey and a mule. So out of all of these different scenarios, one tiny scoop, and it's customizing to each particular issue. And probably the best example that I've come up with is, if you have a horse with a joint issue, then what do we typically look at? We look at a joint supplement or possible injections, or hoof problems. Then we look at hoof supplements and creative shoeing. So we're trying to give the horse, or in this case even a donkey or mule, a particular thing to fix whatever problem we believe they're having, which is fine. Now, the unique thing with the Equinety is because we're stimulating the pituitary gland to release the hormones, the body is deciding with pinpoint accuracy where to send those hormones for the healing. And this is why there's so many different things that can happen with so many different scenarios. So if you're listening in for the first time, hopefully that made a lot of sense and cleared some things up. And Jackie, when you and I were speaking before we recorded this, one of the things that was kind of on your mind is how can, when you heard about the Equinety is, okay, well, it might be good, but how can it do all of this different stuff? And of course, you've experienced that just with your crew there over the last year.
Yes, I have. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So, well, if there's anyone listening in here, Jackie, that still might be on the fence or thinking about it, is there anything that you would have to say to them that you haven't already talked about that might pull them over to trying Equinety?
I would just tell them to try it. They'll see. Just give it a try. Mm-hmm. I mean, it works. I have 4 different animals that it works on. And I love it, and I'll use it forever.
Well, Jackie Allen from Tennessee, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your Equinety stories.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I got a chance to.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, thank you so much.
That's all for this episode of the Equinety Podcast. For more information on purchasing Equinety, be sure to visit our website at teamequinety.com, where you'll also find product information as well as more testimonials on how others have seen amazing results by implementing Equinety into their horse's supplement regime. We'll have more stories on how Equinety is helping horses worldwide right here on a future episode of the Equinety Podcast.